But right now, what I'd like to do is welcome Geoff Bolan, CEO of Sustainable Travel International. Welcome,
Thank you.
Geoff.
Thanks for having me, John and Lane. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
So, Geoff, just for our viewing audience who may not be here on the island, tell me about Sustainable Travel International.
Sure, and thanks for having me. It's I got to say, it's an amazing conference. Attending yesterday and seeing the numbers here, so I'll start by saying it's really eye-opening to see the excitement. I run a nonprofit organization, so Sustainable Travel International is a global nonprofit. We've been around about 15 years, and our focus is on conservation and development. So we're trying to make sure that places around the world are protected. So protecting environment, improving people's lives. We just happen to view the world through the lens of tourism. So we don't run trips and anything like that, but we do understand, and I think it's important that people realize that tourism represents between 1 in 10 and 1 in 11 jobs around the planet. And it's a $7 trillion industry. And so when you have such power to do good or bad, there's an opportunity to in fact make those changes. And so we view the world through the lens of tourism. We operate in a number of countries, a number of projects around the globe. And it's been a very successful endeavor so far, and we're excited to be here and working with GreenBiz and the Sustainable Tourism Summit.
Great. So one of the things we've been covering a lot at GreenBiz are the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Exactly.
And so how do you connect to the SDGs with tourism?
Absolutely. I mean, 3 or 4 of the SDGs are directly linked in with tourism, and whether that's the world underwater or jobs and whatnot. So it's one of the things we like to do, and we'll be making some announcements soon enough, is have a data-driven approach, right? You need to sort of have to understand a starting point, an interim, if you will, and I'm somewhat concerned about saying a finishing point because I don't think what we do is start and finish. It's really journey. But the SDGs are clear because both companies participating in pursuits of SDGs as well as nations, those represent, if you will, the journey and the pathway. And the way to determine if you're achieving them is really a data-driven approach. So very key to our work.
So one of the exciting things about VERGE Hawaii this year is that we're holding the Sustainable Tourism Summit. And so what are you excited about with that?
It's really exciting. A lot of our work around the globe is with coastal and with island destinations, particularly island destinations. And one of the things that you see so many common threads, whether we're talking about the Caribbean, we're talking about the Pacific, could be the Riviera Maya in Mexico, which is more coastal. Also the island of Cozumel, or certainly in the case of Hawaii. What's exciting about the summit is the fact that it brings together a diverse set of folks that are not there to present about themselves. I mean, that's the thing that's most important to me. People are not going to get up there, talk about their work for 15 minutes and have 2 minutes of conversation. We're skipping by all of that and we're digging right into, here are the key issues. You escalate or elevate the issues within your sector or within your interest group, and it could be talking about transportation, and folks digging right into, where are we trying to get to? Not how do we lower our fuel consumption by 5%, but where is it that we need to be in 10 years and then work our way backwards? Also, what are some things we can do now? So it's more than anything, it's a large working session. And I think that's really critical. And if a place like Hawaii, which GDP, sort of the commercial GDP contribution is number 1. Obviously military is number 1. When you're talking about an industry, it's clearly tourism. And so Hawaii will live or die on well-managed tourism. Protection of natural resources, empowered locals, engaged employees, thought planning, and I think that's where this meeting will go today. We won't have all the answers, but looking forward to where we're trying to get to and how do people commit to it. I think we have the right people in the room.
That's fantastic. So do you think the tourism industry is ready to make the next leap?
I will let you know at the end of the day. I think it's the right question, and the simple answer is there are many within the tourism industry that are there, and then the other sadder answer is there are many that aren't. So much of this becomes about the business case, right? What's the proposition? People don't necessarily recognize resources being ruined, assets being degraded. I mean, if people are coming for blue water, clean air, and beautiful nature, well, what happens if the water's not so clear? And what happens if the nature is being degraded? What I think is most exciting is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this at the summit, is the fact that we did a big body of research, and it was on consumers in the U.S. And sure enough, people that are interested in sustainability, and we call them sustainable travelers, and you can imagine there's a lot of data and definition behind that, travel more and pay more. And there are more of them, right? So we can embrace or not what's happening in the world, but the reality is millennials want to know where's the provenance of the food. How does this affect locals? Why is there no recycling bin? Those are things that are not acceptable to the next growing generation. The coders that are working for Amazon and whatnot, that are making a lot of money and traveling a lot, it's what's interesting to them. Either the tourism industry embraces it or it doesn't. It's very black and white, and I think those that are embracing it are winning, and those that don't embrace it will, unfortunately, to a certain extent, feel the pain.
Well, I think that's really interesting. We did a supply chain transparency summit and an event in February, and I think in the food and ag industry, that whole need for transparency is rising really quickly, and I think you make a great point about that happening in the travel industry as well.
We've done some work with a partner called Geoff and what it was it was looking into their supply chain. So the travel industry, the tourism industry supply chain is different, right? It's really complex. Most supply chains are complex, but it's not a passing of product, right? This is service. And so a tourism supply chain involves guides, involves lodging establishments, involves transportation, food providers, artisans, things like that. And so we did a lot of work with G to help them understand what the, what was happening in their supply chain, impact on local, impact on environment, and really was about transparency.
That's great. Well, maybe next year we'll do the Tourist Supply Chain Summit here in VERGE Hawaii. All right, Elaine.
Yes, thank you so much, Geoff, for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stay tuned, we're going to jump over to the plenaries now.